Welcome back to the Crypto's Key Conversation. Hey, you guys, this one's going to be a little bit more extensive. There's a lot to unpack in this one. Obviously, there's a lot going on when it comes to over-regulation by enforcement when it comes to the SEC and Chairman Gensler. And you can see other major industry players within the crypto space are actually starting to get involved. They're starting to get a little upset on what's happening with Chairman Gensler and the SEC. So obviously, when it comes to Ripple, John Deaton and the like have been shouting from the rooftops for the past 2+ years, like, hey, we need to band together because it's not just about Ripple and XRP, it's about the entire industry. So we're going to cover a lot of that stuff right in this video. We're going to start with this one from Benjamin Cowan though. It says, and there it is, the first weekly death cross for BTC. So he puts up this image here and there's a death cross. And I was doing a little bit of I guess you could say a little bit of research on death crosses because I'm not a big TA guy, but I have a general understanding of it. But based on this, I mean, we can definitely expect, per history, a little bit more downside in regards of, I guess you could say price action, if you will, leading into the next days or weeks. So that's just my understanding of this stuff. But I just wanted to put this out there because obviously we're currentently sitting at a $1.04 trillion market cap and Bitcoin sitting at 21,715. XRP sitting at 0.36 cents. So 36 cents. Moving on here. This is Jeremy Hogan K. He says, I've spent a couple of days looking for the simple form on the SEC website with no luck. Once I find it, all those $500 an hour securities lawyers are going to be out of business. So he's talking about when Chairman Gensler went on this news interview and he was talking about coming into compliance. It's a simple form. These blockchain crypto companies act as if they can't, register and be compliant. And then he plays this video right here.
These firms, Kraken knew how to register, others know how to register. It's just a form on our website.
So moving on from that, oh, did I mess it up? Oh, so coming down here, Fred Rispoli says, terrible searching skills. Here's the form for any crypto company to submit the details of its business operations for fast track, fully compliant registration with the SEC. And keep in mind, Jeremy Hogan says, well played, good sir. So coming over here, this is what Fred Rispoli had linked in there. He goes, report suspected securities fraud or wrongdoing. And it has all this information here, Ponzi schemes or whatnot. So there's a little bit of humor behind it, and clearly the rules aren't quite clear. And what Chairman Gensler is gaslighting everybody in the industry about is just false. Coming over here, this is Yasan responding to Crypto Law. This is John Deaton's Crypto Law US says, there is no form, there are no instructions, there is no registration process for digital assets. There is only a subpoena for non-compliance without saying what compliance is. That is extortion, Congressman Davidson. So Yasan says, never have I imagined I will witness a branch of the U.S. government being so blatantly corrupt and gangster-like, while the majority of the mainstream media either look the other way or give the gangster airtime to spread lies. And that's literally what we were talking about just now in this little gaslighting interview that he had. And to keep in mind, when it comes to people so obviously he's supposed to regulate the markets and securities, right? Enforce securities laws and protect investors, right? Who's supposed to oversee Chairman Gensler in the SEC? And that's Elizabeth Warren, right? And what did we find out that they were doing? She was exposed for sending him an email with the questions that he was going to be asked when he was sitting in front of her, and the answers to the questions. You talk about blatant corruption, that's an understatement. This is from Library. It says, the rules are clear, crystal clear. They are so clear we can't even tell you what they are because we can just see through them. This is a reality we live in out here. This is crazy. This is Stuart Alderadi. This is Ripple's general counsel says over 40 million Americans own crypto. Most of those are between the ages of 18 and 34 and are demographically and racially diverse. That's a lot of votes. Gary Gensler is a political liability. Let that sink in. This is from Jeremy Hogan. This is huge, and it's a lot of humor behind it. He goes, I was wrong about one thing, and there's like a pause, right? No one was playing Halo back in 2021. So keep that in mind as you listen to this.
What I'm going to tell you in the next 15 minutes or so is that I have found that the SEC has a long-term plan for regulating crypto in the US, and it's not good. It's actually pretty scary. And no matter what crypto you own, you are not safe. Okay, kids, that's the summary. Go back to playing Halo now.
So he's pretty much saying he was wrong about kids playing Halo back then, right? But he was right about Hey, no one's safe. And not only Jeremy Hogan was saying that, the entire XRP army was saying that. John Deaton was saying that. People that saw the writing on the wall when it came to Jay Clayton and Chairman Gensler and the SEC's actions, they saw that no one was safe and it didn't matter. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Even if Ripple destroys and decimates the SEC in this lawsuit and they outright win, that doesn't guarantee anything for any other crypto project out there. Keep that in mind. This is from Brian Armstrong. And this is huge to hear. He goes, Coinbase staking services are not securities. We will happily defend this in court if needed. So hopefully, you know, these are just words, and hopefully he's sticking to his guns here. Obviously, we felt a different way about Brian Armstrong and Coinbase not stepping up when it came to their, I think it was their Lend project. I can't remember if that was the correct term, but it was a form of Lend. But it was like the Lend project, and the SEC and Chairman Gensler threatened them if they, you know, launched it, that they would come after them. And then obviously we know about when the lawsuit dropped from Jay Clayton walking out the door in the SEC, giving the lawsuit against Ripple. So forming Ripple versus SEC, and Brian Armstrong and Coinbase quickly delisted XRP off the platform. There was no fight, no support. We've been, you know, shouting from the rooftops, hey, we need to band together. We need the help. We need to stand together and realize we're on the same team. There was nothing. Obviously now, big industry players like Brian Armstrong and Coinbase are finally starting to, you know, step up. So we'll see if they stand strong or if they cave, kind of just like how Kraken just did with that $30 million settlement. This is from John Deaton responding to Brian Armstrong. He says, 100, the only reaction the CEO of the largest and only publicly traded exchange in the U.S. should have. And he applaud, which I applaud as well. It doesn't matter about the past at this point. We are here now. What can we do now? So if Brian Armstrong and Coinbase are, you know, jumping in the wagon with us and getting ready to fight the good fight from multiple different fronts, that's what we need. This is from John Deaton as well. He goes, the SEC chair Gary Gensler says, he's responding to Bloomberg Crypto here, where they say the SEC chair Gary Gensler says a settlement with crypto exchange Kraken over staking should put everyone on notice in this marketplace. John Deaton says, after receiving said notice, and then he has Paul Gruel and Brian Armstrong have responded accordingly. For over 2 years, I've said the war will be fought in federal courts across the country because Congress isn't going to pass any legislation anytime soon. I mean, John Deaton's literally had his shot over the target. I mean, he's been hitting the target from day one. So shout out John Deaton for really being that leader and constantly fighting the good fight for the entire industry. Continuing on here, John Deaton's responding to Met Lawman. Met Lawman says the SEC is going after stablecoins now. The entire digital asset ecosystem is under attack. The stakes are enormous. Who will stand up and fight back? We must all hang together, or must assuredly we shall all hang separately. So then John Deaton says, 2 years ago, I recommend industry players establish a crypto consortium, if you will, focus on coordination between companies being sued, receiving well notices, and voluntary request letters, etc. We need a unified defense as well as going on the offensive. It's never too late. And I think that's the most profound, I guess you could say, statement in this entire tweet here. It's never too late. And that's what we're saying. Even in the XRP community, there may be some frustration, a little bit of hate or shade, you know, casted at certain industry players that didn't step up and fight the good fight at, you know, when it first happened. But hey, it's never too late. Do what we can do to fight the good fight, because it's not just about one digital asset or one project. It's about the entire industry in the health and wellness of the space. Library says, so we're talking about stable coins here. I think I got this out of order. Let me go ahead and put this here. All right, so coming over here, Digital Asset Investor says, so this is what I was talking about, how whether there's an outright win for Ripple in the XRP community, what does that signify for the rest of the industry, right? So think about that. As I spoke on that earlier in this video here, it says, Digital Asset Investor says, if XRP now and going forward is declared by the court to be not a security, it will be the only digital asset with real regulatory clarity. Bitcoin doesn't even have that. Let that sink in. What happens when that sinks in with investors? If they can get it, Gary won't stop suing regardless of the good outcome for Ripple. Remember, the judge herself said they don't have a faithful allegiance to the law. It's quite possible that the only path to clarity is a lawsuit until Congress can get their act together, which may be never. So, I mean, this this is literally a solid and straight to the point, I could say, issue, if you will. Like, if people aren't aware of this, it's very problematic. So the fact that, the likes of Brian Armstrong, Coinbase, and other industry players are really starting to open their eyes and really starting to put their foot down and join the fight, that's huge. If we are not consistent and persistent as a community, I'm talking about crypto in general, not project from project, I'm talking about it as a whole, one team. What DII is saying here, it's going to be problematic, because who knows what Congress is going to do. We can't just leave our, the weight of the future in Congress's hands, because obviously even right now, what are they doing? It's just nothing but words, right? And obviously the SEC and Chairman Gensler are gaslighting the entire industry. I mean, this is the real. If Ripple wins, hey, Ripple's good. Ripple and XRP are solid. Okay, cool. What about the rest of the industry? That's what we got to think about here. This is from Mr. Hubert. I thought this was a good, interesting question. That's why I'm putting this on here. He goes, the SEC versus Ripple case ends with a total victory for Ripple. News spreads. XRP falls to new lows, and Ethereum goes to the moon. What do you do? And I thought it was interesting, and I said, interesting question. I'd be hot AF, but couldn't resist accumulating more. And then I put the little shh. Real XRP boy. Woo! I mean, that's literally how I feel. That would be nuts. I mean, there's a lot of people within this this thread that's talking about, man, we've been waiting so long for, XRP to be involved in these bull markets, and who cares how much longer I gotta wait? I've been waiting. I'm just gonna buy more. So, like, I mean, I kind of have the same sentiment myself. But if it actually happens, you would see definitely a different tune in a lot of holders or hodlers of XRP. I definitely, obviously, even with all the shady stuff from the lawsuit and all the shady stuff going, from that point, there's been a lot of XRP hodlers that, fell off, as we could say, fell off the wagon or fell off the bandwagon and started kind of hating the project. Hey, it is what it is. People got to do what they got to do for their own investment strategies and their families. But it should be quite interesting to see if he asks this questions, if he re-asks this question as something like this happens, which is a possibility. We don't know. Who knows? Who knows what the narrative's like after the lawsuit and stuff. So this is from Library. So obviously there's a big conversation, and I'm just going to pull it up here. There's a big conversation of what's happening with these stable coins, right? Obviously, we know Chairman Gensler and the SEC are trying to go after everything. And we've been talking about this for years now. It's not just about ICO tokens. They're trying to come after centralized platforms, lending platforms, staking platforms, exchanges, DeFi, decentralized finance stuff. Now they're talking about stable coins being securities, right? So Library, obviously, if I'm sure a lot of you've probably heard about the Paxos, stop minting Binance USD, so the Binance stablecoin, and that's been a whole debacle and a whole, like, there's been a lot of speculation on what's happening. I'm gonna cover a little bit of it, but Library goes, one time we paid $1 for $1 in stablecoins so that we could spend them as $1 later, but evidently we are expecting profits. So he's talking about the Howey test, and that's the only way that the SEC is going to be able to legally classify a stable coin or any digital asset as a security under securities laws, right? So he's saying expectation of profits, which is one of the prongs of the Howey test. He goes, thanks for teaching us so much about our own motivations, SEC. So he's throwing a lot of jabs, or, Jeremy Coffin's throwing a lot of jabs at the SEC, which, rightly so. But that's the point. It's like, how can you classify a stable coin as a security when it's stable 1-to-1, right? There's no expectation of profits. What other portion of the Howey test does it satisfy? What other prong? So that's what he was saying here. And Eleanor Terrenhat put this up. She said, speaking with an industry expert this morning on the Binance USD news, quote, I think Gary Gensler and the SEC have truly lost the plot and gone mad with the power. I bought and sold millions of dollars worth of stable coins, and never once did I think I'd profit from them, which, I mean, all of us think the same way, right? So obviously we have this article from Cointelegraph saying Paxos to stop minting Binance USD stablecoins for Binance. So there's been a lot of speculation. Matter of fact, let me show this one really quick. So obviously Paxos says Paxos categorically disagrees with the SEC that Binance USD is a security. So before I move on, okay, look, this is going to tie in perfectly right here. So remember Circle, okay? Obviously, who's backing Circle? You have BlackRock, right? Massive. Trillions of dollars under management, right? Okay. So a lot of the speculation that's been happening, and I haven't verified it myself. Do your own vetting. I'm just kind of having a conversation on, the news I see and thoughtful discourse and conversation that I've been seeing within the industry. Okay, so obviously, Chairman Gensler from the SEC, and I think it was the New York, some entity in New York, and I forgot what it was. It's a four-letter acronym or whatever. They're going after stablecoins, right? So they went after Paxos, right? So there's been a couple different narratives that I've heard. One I've heard, which makes sense, is the SEC they learned from their mistakes, meaning they tried to go after a big industry player like Ripple, and they're getting smacked down because Ripple has the backing, case wise, evidence wise, and money wise to go the distance with the SEC. So they're saying, maybe the SEC learned from their mistakes, and they're trying to go after smaller stablecoin projects, right? I guess that's how they're saying it. And maybe that's why they went after, certain other platforms. Now they're going after Paxos, and then they can kind of build from there, right? On the other end, there's people saying BlackRock's involved, and USDC, Circle, and them were involved in regards of, nudging regulators and government officials to go after Binance, right? To try to, you can say, get rid of Binance, CZ Binance's stablecoin, right? So there's been a whole lot of speculation that's been happening, and obviously more is going to unravel as the days goes on. But the fact that the Chairman Gensler and the SEC are trying to classify stablecoins as security is just dirty. It's absolutely dirty. So whatever the narrative is, obviously we have no control of it. What's going to happen? Obviously, there's going to be some auditing, which I'm sure there's been auditing. I've heard, based on stuff that I've seen, that Paxos has the ability to prove that they've been backed 1-to-1 from the beginning, or for a set amount of time. They were even comparing it to the status of USDC itself, meaning they were established 1-to-1 before USDC themselves were. So who knows what's going to happen? Obviously, they call it the battle of the stable coins. Who knows? I'm just kind of sharing and kind of having a conversation on it. But Eleanor Cherry says, Circle app, Circle app, some other U.S. crypto companies have, in the months following the FTX official collapse, adopted a strategy of blaming non-U.S. projects for the problems the space is facing. This may be an example of stablecoin wars. That's what she said. Stablecoin wars. Stablecoin wars. I don't know why I said corn. Stablecoin wars. It says Circle sounded alarm on Paxos. Told, there we go, NYDFS Binance stablecoin wasn't fully backed. We'll see, man. This is just more and more drama, more and more exposure. Quite honestly, if all these platforms and these entities were fully audited in a fair and just way, and whether it kicked out some others and some flopped and not, hey, whatever's right and just, if who's doing things the right way and trying to be just, maybe we don't have all the clear guidance and rules. But who's ever clearly trying to be ethical and do things the just way, they definitely deserve to have staying power. So hey, it's only healthy for the space if fraudsters and scammers the like get what they got coming to them type thing. So we'll see. I'm not saying anyone is, but hey, we've seen a lot in this space, and I've been here since late 2017, so I've definitely seen a lot. This has been Armstrong, and he has a point here. He goes, if you think the SEC is going after Circle and USDC, then you have they have you right where they want you. The SEC is not going to ban USDC. They are clearing the path for it. So remember, I said who's backing, or I guess I don't know if it's backing or who's the major investor in Circle, right? It's BlackRock. Do your research on BlackRock if you don't know much about it. So he has a point there, and I wanted to play this as a little 1 minute 42-second clip. I don't know if I am going to play because we're already at 20 minutes, but I highly recommend you come to Jungle Inks and you read this DeFi Laughing Face code, because it says a DeFi system governance token will be popped before year end. So you see, matter of fact, let me just play a little bit of this. I'm going to just mute it just so you can see the discourse.
DeFi, I think that's helpful because they're really decentralized in name only. There's a user agreement. There's something you're doing with this platform. There's a governance token. There's usually some fees, but I don't know what the particular fees would be.
Well, actually, we do know some of the fees from last Tuesday. The fee to swap between two.
So I don't even have to play the rest of this for you. So just look how fast Okay, look, so remember we talked about Elizabeth Ward and Chairman Gensler. So she's supposed to be overseeing Chairman Gensler from the SEC, right? We found out she was exposed for sending him an email prior to him coming to sit down to have this so-called hot seat conversation and answering questions of what they're doing, right? She gave him the questions and the answers and made sure he felt okay. He wasn't overwhelmed, right? Screw the entire industry and the markets, and especially the investors that he so-called set out to protect. But we're going to make sure you're okay, right? So clearly we know things are scripted. And then he's sitting here saying there's some sort of agreement in the DeFi world and yada, yada, yada. He's literally trying to make it to where he can go after DeFi and try to control that sector as well, right? Obviously, there's multiple sectors and within the crypto space. So obviously, you have NFTs, gaming, DeFi, all types of all different types, right? Payments, a bunch of stuff, layer ones, layer twos. I can go on. He's trying to literally get his tentacles into everything, right? So now you have this discourse from Chairman Gensler and Elizabeth Warren here, and she quickly goes, "Oh, well, I have this or that." He literally goes, "Yeah, I don't really know what the fees are." Well, yeah, I got some fees. It's like clearly it's all scripted. So all this is literally gaslighting. It's just a show, or as you could say, DII says, all the world's a stage. Literally, they're trying to act like we don't know, and which we all know now. They're exposed for their blatant corruption, but it's like they're trying to literally set the tone, set the narrative, control the narrative so they can come after DeFi and the rest of the crypto space. Clearly, they're trying to get it under their control to where the incumbents and their buddies and their friends can get the bigger piece of the pie so they can control this going forward. It's enough said right there. I know that was a lot, but there's a lot going on, and there's a lot more, but that felt like that's what I wanted to have a conversation on. But let me know what you think. Make sure you come to the Crypto's Key Conversation YouTube channel, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at Crypto's Key 1. I really appreciate your support out there, you guys. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.